Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am in my classroom, so teacher Kayla here. Today I'm making a video that I have been meaning to make for a while, and this is answering your frequently asked questions. That is so hard to say, frequently asked questions. Just because I have so many people ask me questions about VIPKid and I love talking about it, but I figured this would be just an easy place to answer all of those questions. That way, if someone does have a question, I can just send them a link to this video, or if people just happen to stumble upon it, maybe it can answer some of your questions that you have about VIPKid. So if you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my videos. And if you are one of the 3 people who watch my videos regularly, welcome back. Here is another VIPKid video for you. So I want to start off by saying that I'm using a lot of personal experience in my explanations of things. So take that kind of with a grain of salt. Everybody's journey with VIPKid is very different. Mine was very different than a lot of people's that I saw when I was applying. So yeah, everybody's is just different. So just kind of use mine as like a baseline, and then know that your journey is going to be different than some of the things that I mentioned in this video. Okay, so the first question that I want to address is, what is VIPKid? Some people, I remember when I first applied, people were like, what is VIPKid? Like, what are you doing? It sounds super sketchy. So VIPKid is teaching English one-on-one to students who live in China. Yes, you are only working with one student at a time. So you can think of it as like a private tutoring session. I also want to mention here that you are considered an independent contractor. So you are not an employee for VIPKid. You are not going to be given bookings, or you're not required to teach a certain number of classes. You are an independent contractor. So I will say this a lot throughout this video. You have to sell yourself as an independent contractor. As a teacher, parents will be watching you, and you have to sell yourself to them as a good teacher to be able to make this a successful side gig or full-time gig if that's what you want to do. All right, my top question that people ask me is, what is the pay like? Is it worth it? Can I make a decent amount of money doing this? And the short answer is yes. It's all about what you put into it. Okay, so I have some notes here that I'm going to be looking at to try to keep me on track. I want to say that you are paid per class. So every class that you teach is 25 minutes. You have to teach for 25 minutes, and you can teach up to 28 minutes, but you don't want to go over 28 minutes because then you're losing money. You're not being paid then, okay? And if you have more than one class and they're back to back, then if you're teaching up until 28 minutes, you have 2 minutes to prepare for your next class, which is, calm down. You're not required to teach back-to-back classes. When you start out, you might want to teach one class and take a break. Teach one class, take a break, and you can totally do that. That is the amazing thing about VIPKid, is that you can personalize it to whatever works for you. Okay, so I'm going to give a breakdown of how pay works. So VIPKid is kind of complicated when it comes to pay, and that's why it's kind of hard to really get like one solid answer, because you can't just say, oh, you'll make $8.50 per half hour or whatever, or like $16 an hour, because that's just not how it works. So you're paid per class, per 25 minutes, okay? You get assigned a base pay after your interview. So I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, so your base pay is determined after your interview. Now, there are also incentives that VIPKid offers. Your first incentive is being on time, okay? If you're on time to your class, it's an extra $1 for your class, a whole extra dollar added onto your base pay, okay? I want to say base pays start at $7, so keep that in mind. If your base pay is $7 and you show up on time to class, that's already $8 for that class, okay? Now, once you teach 45 classes in a month, you get $1 for every class you've already taught, $45, plus an extra dollar for every additional class that you teach in that month. Okay? All right, and the third incentive is short notice classes. I will go into more detail about short notice classes, but if you teach a short notice class, you get an additional $2 on top of your base pay and on top of those other two incentives I mentioned before. Okay, I want to give you a real life example of my experience. This was from April of 2019. So I started March of 2019. So this is April 1st to April, 30th, 31st. How many days are in April? 30. So April 1st through April 30th of 2019. This is not this year. This is the year that I started teaching. Okay, so I'm being real with y'all. This is what I made and how everything was broken down. So my total payment for the month of April was $1,501. Now, my base pay was $8 a class. That is what was assigned to me after my interview. Your base pay is dependent upon your interview as well as your experience and degrees and certifications, etc., etc. So my base pay was $8 a class. In the month of April, I taught 147 classes, and 3 of those were short notice classes. That brings my total, okay, so if I take 147 times 8, which is my base pay, that's $1,182. So you're probably thinking, okay, where did the $1,500 come from if you taught 147 classes at $8 a class? Remember those incentives I mentioned. Okay, so I taught 147 classes. I showed up on time to every single one of those classes. I said $1 per class for every class you show up on time to. That's an extra $147 in my pocket for that month just for clicking start class on time. Okay, I taught more than 45 classes in the month. I taught a total of 147 classes. So for every class that I teach in the month that's over 45 classes, I get an extra $1. That's another $147 in my pocket. Okay, and then I taught my 3 short notice classes, which is an additional $2 on top of my base pay plus those 2 incentives. So let's do some math. $8 base pay, $1 on time incentive, $1 more than 45 class incentive. That's $10 right there. $10 for a class. Okay, and then I taught a short notice class. That's $2 more. That's $12 a class. $12 for 25 minutes. Okay, I also had an adjustment in the month of April. So I had a $25 referral bonus, which means that I referred someone and I got $25 as a referral bonus. That's just something that they were running that month. VIPKid does this all the time. They have different incentives for different people. Sometimes your incentives are not the same as someone else's. So it just depends on where you are with VIPKid, all kinds of stuff. So that brought my total to $1,501. Okay. So hopefully that kind of breaks it down for you and gives you a real life example of what you can make. You can make decent money doing this. I wanted to mention that payment is your choice. You can get paid bi-weekly or monthly. So in the example that I just gave you, I was paid monthly. This was when I just started. I didn't even know that I had the option to change my payment. And so I was just being paid monthly. And honestly, being paid monthly is easier to look at, like, the breakdown of everything. I get paid bi-weekly now just because that's more convenient for me, but the incentives fall weird. So just keep that in mind. You'll always get paid for like those incentives, but sometimes you won't see that if you're getting paid bi-weekly. Like, you won't see it at the beginning of the month, you'll see it at the end of the month. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I mentioned short notice classes before. So short notice classes are classes that can be booked up to 24 hours before the start of the class, but not sooner than 1 hour before. So say you open a short notice class at 8 a.m. Okay, this slot can be booked up until 7 a.m. It cannot be booked at 7:15. It cannot be booked at 7:45. It has to be booked by 7 a.m. If the class is booked before that 24-hour mark, then it's not considered short notice. And this kind of scares people because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to open short notice classes and not be prepared. And that's totally fine. I didn't open short notice classes when I first started. It was scary. I didn't know what I was doing. So just teach a few classes, get used to it. Or if you want to jump in, just open them all short notice. That's what I do now. However, I don't really get booked short notice. I get booked in advance because I open my schedule up. But I know that some teachers only open short notice classes. So like if it's Monday night, they open up all of their Tuesday morning classes and get booked. And then they're getting that $2 bonus. I feel more comfortable opening up my schedule in advance right now. So that's what I do. Okay, another question that I get asked all the time is, what are the hours like? Like, aren't you waking up in like the middle of the night to be able to teach these students over in China? And the answer is no, I'm not. So as a disclaimer, I'm using Eastern Standard Time in this video just because that's the time zone that I teach in. So you can book class from 8:30 p.m. all the way to 9:30 a.m. VIPKid has what is called peak times and peak times. So this just indicates that these are the top times for bookings. Like this is when the kids are mostly booking those slots. Peak times are 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. and peak times are 7, 7:30, 8, and 8:30. Now I mentioned that you can book slots through 9:30 a.m. Students who are regulars, who already have a package with VIPKid, who are taking classes regularly, cannot book classes at 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. due to regulations in China that do not allow students to take online courses past 9 p.m. their time, okay? So when it's 9 a.m. here, it's 9 p.m. in Beijing, which is where the head office is. However, these slots are available for you to open because if a student is taking a trial course, they can book you at 9 or 9:30. They're not regular students. They are taking a trial class. I'll talk a little bit more about trial classes in just a second. I do want to say, as just like a real life example, I work from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay, I keep my 9 a.m. and my 9:30 a.m. slots open just in case a trial books me. Since I've been opening those slots, I have not seen any trial bookings. I don't teach a lot of trials. I know some teachers who all they teach is trials. Like I said before, VIPKid is such an independent journey, and it's different for everybody. So I personally don't count on those slots to book, but I do keep them open just in case. Okay, so really quick, I just want to mention what a trial class is. A trial class is just a student who does not have like a package yet with VIPKid. VIPKid offers trial classes for students, so they can take 3 classes as a trial just to see if, you know, they like it, if the parents like the format, the material that's being taught, you know, whatever. And then if a student signs up after the trial, then they can't book those classes for 9 and 9:30, but if they are a trial student, they can book those 9 and 9:30 a.m. slots. Okay, how do I get bookings? That is another question that I hear a lot. My only thing that I can say is teach good classes. So what you do is you open up as many slots as you can. Open up all of the slots that you can when you first start teaching. I don't know why I turned into a robot there. But this is important. You want to show VIPKid and you want to show the parents that you want to teach at any time. You are ready for this. So that's what I did when I first started. I was opening as many slots as I was able to and that I was willing to teach. And as I got booked, I would teach awesome classes, okay? And then parents can leave you feedback after your classes. And this is so important because this is what other parents see, okay? So you teach an awesome class and Joe's mom is like, wow, that was such a good class. I loved it so much. I'm going to leave a really good review for this teacher. And then Steven's mom sees that feedback and Steven's mom is like, oh, this parent had a really good experience with this teacher. I'm going to book her. Okay. So it's just kind of word of mouth, just like anything else. You know, you see reviews for anything, for restaurants, for places to shop, for hairstylists, whatever. And you go to the one that has the best reviews. So you want to be the best. You want to be teaching a 5 apple class. Okay, they rate you on like a scale of apples. So you want to be teaching 5 Apple classes. That way you get good parent feedback, and then other parents see that feedback and they're like, I definitely want my kid to be in this teacher's class. This all goes back again to being an independent contractor. You have to sell yourself, okay? You have to be awesome. And everybody's personality is different. I know that a lot of people see these really happy, excited, peppy teachers, and not all the teachers are like that, okay? You can be super chill, and you will draw in students who mesh with your teaching style and your personality, and you'll get bookings. You don't have to be, super crazy excited. I like to think that I can be both, depending on the students that book me. So when I first started, I just would kind of feel out a student. Like, do they want me to be super excited in their face doing all of this, or do they want me to be chill and just like talking to them like a normal human and not like crazy in your face? So as long as you are just teaching a good class based on the student's needs, that's all that matters. You'll get booked. All right, another question that people ask me all the time is, do I have to make a lesson plan? No, that is what is amazing about VIPKid. Curriculum is done for you. It's all right there on their software. So when you get booked for a student, you see what class they've booked you for, you click on it. Imagine it like a PowerPoint that pops up, and you have to teach the material that's on the PowerPoint. Okay, it's all there for you. Once you're like in and you're starting to book classes, it's very important that you go in and look through these PowerPoints and prepare for your classes. So you don't want to, get your first booking and then 5 minutes before class you're like in there and you're like, okay, let me see what's in this PowerPoint. No. You want to be prepared. That is what gets you those 5 apples, that good parent feedback. It will take you a while to get used to the format of the classes, and you will have to prep. You will. A lot of people want this to be like you just jump in and know what you're doing, and there's a learning curve. However, I will say, once you teach for a couple weeks, you're gonna have it down. It's pretty simple. And after you have, once you're comfortable with the material and you're comfortable with the layout, the format, what you're teaching, how you're teaching it, there will be very minimal prep time. So you will get to that point where you can just like hop on 5 minutes before class and start teaching. I definitely did that the other morning. My first class was at 5 a.m. I rolled out of the bed at 4:58. I don't normally do that. I do not recommend it, but it happened. But I was still able to teach my class because I'm comfortable with the VIPKid software, the format, everything else. Okay, so to kind of follow up with that, a lot of people ask, what's the material like? Like, what am I teaching? So when you first get in with VIPKid, you are automatically certified to be a level 2 teacher. Now, level 2 students are typically between the ages of 6 and 9 years old. However, students are placed in a level based on their English ability, okay? So not like how we are here, like, okay, if you're 5 years old, you're in kindergarten. If you're 6 and 7, you're in first grade, whatever. This is all dependent on what they already know. So level 2 classes are very simple. These are for students who barely have any English knowledge, and you're teaching very simple things. You're teaching apple, apple. Okay, you're not going crazy. You're teaching apple, apple. This is an apple. You're teaching them how to speak in very simple sentences, and that's the goal of level 2. You just want them speaking in simple sentences. You just want them speaking. You want them saying those English words, getting used to their mouth, forming those new sounds. There are many levels of VIPKid. I actually just got certified for a level 7+, and I'm super excited about that. But that is a whole nother video. If you're interested in learning about like the different certifications, let me know, and I'd be glad to make a video for that. Okay, the next question that a lot of people ask me is, what do I need to get started? Okay, the first thing, the most important thing, is that you have to have a bachelor's degree to do this. It does not have to be in education. My degree personally is in sociology. So it doesn't have to be an education degree. However, I did go to school for 3 years to be a teacher before I changed my major to sociology. but it doesn't make a difference as long as you have a bachelor's degree in something. And they will ask you for experience, but don't let that scare you either. Experience can be something as simple as babysitting, all the way up to something as formal as being a classroom teacher. So as long as you have some kind of experience interacting, working with, teaching on some kind of level, teaching students, that's all that matters. Okay, so 1 is a bachelor's degree, 2 is a good headset. Let me show you the one that I have here. This is a Logitech headset that I just got off of Amazon. It is very important that you have a headset with a mic so that your students can hear you clearly. I have seen several teachers that teach like with AirPods or just like your basic like Apple headphones. I do not recommend that just because it can be very difficult for the students to hear you, and that is very important because they're learning English. So if they're not hearing the sounds correctly, you're teaching them incorrectly. So highly recommend a very good headset. This one was like 20 bucks or something. I'll link it in the description. Super affordable. Next thing, so number 3 is a webcam. Obviously, you can have, I just use the webcam that's built into my iMac, but a lot of teachers use just external cameras that they've bought and hook it up to their laptop or whatever. When I first started teaching, I was teaching on a MacBook, and I just used my webcam on my MacBook. 4th thing you need, some type of background. Now, my background did not look like this when I first started. It was super, super simple. And as I've, taught more, my classroom has evolved a little bit, but just something. It can be something as simple as a sheet behind you. As long as you're not teaching with like your crazy, messy living room in the background or something. Like it's not professional. I will say that if you want to teach with that as your background, you can. Why? Because you're an independent contractor. Is that going to sell? Probably not. But you can do it if you want. All right, 5th thing you need, props. This can be anything. A lot of people think that when they start, they have to go crazy and buy all of this stuff to be able to teach, and that's not true. When I taught my first class, I went through and looked at the PowerPoint and knew that I had to teach like Apple, things like that. I went on Google, printed out a picture of an apple, and that was what I used as a prop. My one thing that I highly, highly, highly recommend is something like this. Some kind of thing that shows the students that I'm speaking and now it's your turn to speak. This is so helpful. VIPKid does have hand motions, TPR, that show the students, okay, you're repeating what I'm saying, now it's your turn to speak. However, a lot of the younger kids, especially in level 2, are like, what is this? I don't know. Okay, so this shows them, I'm speaking, now it's your turn to speak. This is super helpful. You can even make something like, I got this from Goodwill, you guys. It was like 79 cents, and I just like Cloroxed it down. But you could like take a toilet paper roll or like a paper towel roll and like put, I don't know, like a styrofoam ball on top of it. Just something that shows them whose turn it is to speak. The next thing I recommend is a whiteboard. This can be anything you want it to be, right? This can be a word. This can be a picture. If you don't have a picture of an apple, you can draw apple. You can draw A, big A, small a, apple. Okay, this is like so many things in one. This is a flashcard. This is a 3D prop. Okay, it's super helpful to have a whiteboard. Those are the things that I recommend as far as props. And the next thing that you definitely have to have, the 6th thing, TPR. TPR is not tangible, but it is physical. TPR stands for total physical response. I got this definition off of Google. This is a method of teaching language by using physical movement to react verbal input. Okay, so I like to use this as an example. Bite. Oh, apple. Bite. It shows them makes them make a connection between the word that you're saying and what it means, okay? So if you just tell a student, bite, and they've never heard that word before, they have no idea what it means, they're not going to make any connection. They're just going to know, okay, bite. I don't know what it means. It's just some letters smushed together and it makes this sound. So TPR is very important. As you can see, you have to use your hands when you're teaching with VIPKid. Okay, another question that I get a lot is, will I always teach the same students? Short answer is yes and no. So you will be booked with many different students. As you teach, you will gain regular students that you teach all the time. I have students that I teach 4 and 5 times a week. And I also have students who are new to me that I've never taught before. So just as you teach and as parents get to know you, you'll build up a set of regulars who book you all the time. But you'll also see new students, and both are very fun. It's awesome to build a relationship with these students and get to know them and personalize their classroom experience. But it's also fun to get those new students in your classroom and kind of hook them and bring them in and want them to come back to you. And then that way you're building more regulars. So it's very fun on both sides. So that is it. That's everything that I could think of. That's everything that people ask me the most. So I'm sure that there are still a million questions out there that I haven't answered, but hopefully this just kind of gives you a baseline and helps you understand some of the basics of VIPKid. If you have any other questions, you can leave them in a comment below, or you can send me a message. Feel free. I love talking to people about VIPKid. It's so fun, and I can't imagine my life without it at this point. So it's awesome, and I love to talk to other people about it. So feel free to send me a message if you have some specific questions. If you would like to join and apply for VIPKid and start the process, I have a referral link down below. If you have already started your application with VIPKid and you don't have a referral code, I will leave that down below as well, so that you can put me down and I can help you and help you work through this process. Alright, that is everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This was a super long video, but I hope that it helped somebody out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!